I caught my wife cheating, and instead of confronting her, I played the long game. I made her believe I was the one sneaking around, all while planning the perfect revenge. By Christmas morning, she was left crying in an empty house, blindsided by the ultimate ghosting. And divorce papers, I used to think we had a solid, unbreakable marriage. We were that couple people looked at and said, they've got it figured out. 8 years together, 5 of them married, and in all that time, I never once imagined she'd betray me. I'm not the flashy type. I don't do grand romantic gestures or Instagram-worthy vacations, but I was consistent, supportive, and always showed up for her. I worked hard, paid attention to the little things, and genuinely believed that loyalty and love were enough. Maybe that's what made it all harder to see coming. You don't look for cracks when you think the foundation is strong. At first, I noticed small changes in her behavior. Rachel started getting more distant, distracted. She was always on her phone, texting late at night and brushing it off like it was work or a friend. She started putting more effort into her appearance, new outfits, makeup when she used to be low-key, and going out more often just for fresh air or to grab coffee with the girls. I wanted to believe her. I chose to believe her because the alternative, that she was lying to me, that she was cheating, it just didn't feel real. She'd look me in the eye and say she loved me, that nothing was wrong. I clung to those words like a lifeline, but deep down I think I knew. I felt the shift, the subtle tension, the way she flinched when I asked to see her phone, even just to check the time. I wasn't the jealous type, never have been. But the unease kept building. Every time she smiled at a notification, every time she came home later than usual, I felt like I was slipping further and further into the role of a fool. And yet I stayed quiet. I told myself maybe I was imagining things, maybe I was overthinking. After all, Rachel was my wife, she wouldn't do this to me. Right? I guess the hardest part was realizing that I had trusted her more than I trusted myself. That even as the signs screamed at me, I silenced them in the name of love, and that silence, it would become the weapon I used against her. It was a random Tuesday night when everything I'd been trying to suppress came crashing down. Rachel was in the shower and her smartwatch lit up on the nightstand, and I wasn't snooping, I wasn't even thinking about it until the name Jay popped up, followed by a message that said, "Last night was perfect. I miss you already," and my heart stopped. My hands went cold. I just stared at the screen, waiting for it to disappear like maybe it was a mistake. But it wasn't. It was real. I grabbed my phone, snapped a photo of the message, and emailed it to myself. My fingers were shaking. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there, frozen. I wanted to storm into the bathroom and demand the truth. I wanted to yell, throw things, get answers, but something held me back. Maybe it was shock, maybe it was pride, or maybe for the first time in my life I realized I had power. I didn't have to react on her timeline. I didn't have to give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I could take my time, I could plan, so I walked out of the room like nothing had happened. I acted normal, I smiled, kissed her goodnight, even asked how her day had been. Inside, though, something had shifted. A cold clarity settled in. I decided right then and there that I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to make her feel what betrayal looked like. I was going to flip the script. Over the next few days, I started laying the groundwork. I changed the passcode on my phone, started locking it even when she was around. I'd smile at texts that didn't exist, chuckle at blank screens, and step out of the room to take fake calls. I came home late once or twice, blaming traffic or work just enough to plant the seed. I left little clues, a faint scent of perfume that wasn't hers on my collar, a receipt from a fancy restaurant I never went to, a smudge of lipstick on a napkin I left in the glove box. She started to notice. I could see it in her eyes, the doubt, the confusion, the fear, and that's when I knew the game had officially begun. Rachel's suspicion grew faster than I anticipated. At first she played it cool, just little comments here and there. "You smell different," or "Who were you texting so late last night?" I brushed it off with a smirk, gave vague answers, and let her imagination do the rest. The same woman who used to disappear for hours without explanation was now watching my every move like a hawk. And I loved it. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse, I just let her paranoia feed itself. Every time she looked over my shoulder at my phone, I tilted the screen just enough to keep it private. Every ding from a notification made her flinch. One night, I left my phone unlocked on the kitchen counter with a message from a contact named Claire. A fake number I created with nothing but flirty but vague messages. I made sure she saw it. I watched from the corner of my eye as she picked up the phone, read the texts, and tried to keep her expression calm. I acted like I hadn't noticed, and from that moment on, the energy in the house shifted entirely. She started texting me constantly while I was out. Where are you? Who are you with? She'd cook dinner and barely eat. I caught her staring at me when she thought I wasn't looking. I stayed just sweet enough to confuse her, just distant enough to keep her guessing. She began trying harder, wearing lingerie, planning date nights, even trying to initiate more conversations. But I gave her the same cold politeness she used to give me when she was sneaking around. The tables had turned, and she could feel it. Meanwhile, I was working in silence. I met with a lawyer, gathered financial documents, and slowly separated my assets. I even took a couple of vacation days from work that she didn't know about, used them to open a private P.O. box and rent a short-term place I could move into when it was time. Everything I did was precise, controlled. It wasn't just about making her paranoid, it was about preparing the perfect exit, one she would never see coming. She thought she was losing control of me, but the truth was, I had already disappeared emotionally. She just hadn't realized it yet. The moment I knew she was truly cracking came one night when I staged a fake phone call just past midnight. I made sure Rachel was awake, or at least pretending to sleep. I stepped out onto the balcony with my phone to my ear, whispering sweet nothings to no one, laughing softly, throwing in an occasional "I miss you too." I could feel her eyes burning through the glass from inside the living room. I kept the call short, came back in, and crawled into bed next to her like nothing happened. She didn't say a word, didn't even move. Her breathing was rigid. I'd never heard silence so loud in my life. The next morning, she didn't greet me like usual, no good morning, and no small talk, just this quiet, eerie tension. She looked like a person bracing for impact. I sipped my coffee calmly while she sat there pretending to scroll through her phone. That's when I knew she believed it. She genuinely thought I was cheating. The irony almost made me laugh out loud. I hadn't even touched another woman. I didn't need to. Her own guilt and insecurity were doing all the heavy lifting. Over the next week, her energy changed completely. She started doing the things I used to do, the little kindnesses I had long stopped receiving. She made breakfast, folded my laundry, even left handwritten notes by my keys like she used to when we first dated. But it all felt hollow, forced, like she was trying to win back something she thought she'd lost, and she had. She just didn't know how badly yet. She stopped going out at night. Her phone was suddenly always face-up, unlocked in plain sight. She offered random explanations for where she'd been earlier in the day, even when I hadn't asked. I could see it all unraveling. The girl who used to manipulate, lie, and gaslight with confidence was now walking on eggshells. She had no idea what I knew, no idea how much I had already put in place. She thought this was about jealousy, about some petty tit-for-tat game, but I wasn't playing anymore. I was closing the book, methodically, silently, and with a level of precision she never saw coming. I wasn't trying to win her back. I was preparing to disappear from her life for good. Christmas morning arrived like a perfectly timed punchline to a joke only I was in on. The night before, Rachel had been acting overly sweet, making hot chocolate, setting up a movie night, even asking me to cuddle, which she hadn't done in months. It was so fake I could almost smell the desperation on her. She kept looking at me like she was searching for signs of forgiveness, or maybe for confirmation that whatever affair she thought I was having had ended. I played along, just enough to keep her confused. Smiled, kissed her on the forehead, told her tomorrow will be unforgettable, and it would be. She left early Christmas morning to go meet up with a friend for a quick gift exchange. I didn't even ask who. I just nodded. Deep down I knew it was probably Jay, the same guy she'd been sneaking around with. While she was gone I moved fast. I had already packed my essentials the night before, clothes, documents, my laptop, anything that really mattered. I loaded everything into the car without disturbing a single thing in the house. I didn't want her to know what was happening. Yet, before I left, I walked into the living room and set the scene. Under the Christmas tree, I placed a small, perfectly wrapped box. Inside were the divorce papers, the printed screenshots of her messages with Jay, and a photo of her smartwatch with that damning message from weeks ago. On top of the papers, I laid a simple note that read, "You were right. I was hiding something. Merry Christmas." I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just disappeared. By the time she came back, I was long gone. The house looked untouched, like I had gone out to grab milk and would be back any minute, but I wasn't coming back. Not this time. My phone was already off, my location was disabled, my number changed, the silence I left behind was intentional, heavy, final. I could only imagine her walking through the door, calling my name, realizing the clause, it was empty, and then spotting that single box under the tree. I wanted that moment to stick with her forever, that cold gut, dropping realization that she hadn't just lost control. She had lost me entirely. In the days that followed, my phone filled up with missed calls, voicemails, and desperate texts. At first they were confused, "Where are you?" and "Can we talk?" Then they turned emotional, "I made a mistake," "Please don't do this, I'll fix everything." Eventually they became unhinged, screaming, crying, cursing, flipping between begging and blaming. I didn't respond to a single one. I listened to a few of the voicemails, not out of sympathy, but out of curiosity. I wanted to hear how someone who thought they could get away with everything reacted when they realized they'd lost everything instead. The pain in her voice didn't move me. If anything, it confirmed that my silence had been louder than any confrontation could ever be. I moved in with a close friend across town for a while, kept things low-key, and took some time to breathe. For the first time in years, I didn't have to second guess what someone was hiding behind a smile. I didn't have to wonder where she really was when she said she was just out with friends. That weight, one I didn't even realize I'd been carrying, was gone. I was free. The weird part, I never felt triumphant. I didn't celebrate. I didn't party. There was no sense of winning. What I felt was quiet peace, a kind of calm that only comes after you've walked away from something that's been rotting for far too long. People always think revenge feels sweet, but for me it wasn't about revenge. It was about restoration, taking back the pieces of myself that she chipped away at over the years with lies, manipulation, and emotional neglect. Some friends asked me if I ever thought about getting back at her more directly, outing her to her family, her friends, blowing up her life the way she tried to blow up mine. But the truth is, she did that all on her own. The moment she betrayed me, she lit the match. All I did was let the fire burn in silence. I never needed to cheat. I never needed to scream. I just needed her to feel the hollow emptiness she once left me with. And when she opened that box on Christmas morning, I know she finally did. That was the closure, that was the justice, that was the end.